This video was brought to you by Porkbun.
I got doxxed for nothing?
I used to talk about storytime animators all the time. After a while, I decided to take a bit of a break. But then I noticed the drama around Illymations, and I decided to talk about it. The drama around her seemed pretty cut and dry. Her video was bad, she shouldn't have asked her fans to report Think Before You Sleep's video, and her getting doxxed was an absolutely terrible thing that happened. I uploaded my video one day early so my Patreon supporters could see it. The next day I published it, and I got quite a few hate comments. My like to dislike ratio is below 90%. That almost never happens to me. It turns out that just before my video came out, Noah Samson, which is the most biblical name I've ever heard in my life, uploaded a video defending Illymations. I will say that Noah is either really brave or really stupid for defending Illymations against this large amount of harassment. He kind of reminds me of that one guy me and Shady covered. You know, the guy who was defending She-Hulk? Yeah, that guy. A lot of people asked if I seen the video before I uploaded my video. Well, obviously I didn't because my video came out the same day as his. A lot of people linked me this video. They made points that they got from his video. And they told me that I clearly can't think for myself. I started to get nervous. What if I made a giant mistake making this video? And then I started watching his video. 2 minutes in, I could tell it was not a good video. I've seen a few other people talk about it, but no one has done a deep dive going into all of Noah Samson's points. So that's what I'm gonna do today. Now, a lot of people think I'm a big fan of Think Before You Sleep, but aside from his videos on Illymations, I've only seen his video on Lacey Green and that's it. I decided to look into Noah Samson, and he really does not like Think Before You Sleep. And he's also been on YouTube for, wow, 16 years! By the way, as I was making this video, Think Before You Sleep made a post about the drama, and Noah Samson has uploaded another video talking about that post, so I'm also going to be going over that video. Now, to everybody who asked me if I seen Illymation's video, yes, I have. I played clips from her video that weren't in Think Before You Sleep's video. Much like Vouch, I have lollygagged for long enough. Let's get into this video.
You may notice a random child throughout the video. That's me. That's me as a boy. It's my new little voiceover avatar thing. I'm trying that out. Hope it's not terrible. Okay.
Don't do that. That's weird. I get it's a joke, but it's weird. I'm not accusing you of anything. I'm just saying it's, weird. As I was working on this video, Professor Dreadlock came into my room, saw this shirtless little boy, and yelled at me,
"Bro, what are you doing? You're about to get fucking canceled."
And if that awkward moment happened to me, it probably happened to a few of the hundreds of thousands of people who've seen this video. So just don't do this in the future.
On December 21st of last year, the storytime animation YouTuber Illymation released a video called Perks of Being the Fat Kid.
A video where she revealed that she was not fat at all. It would be like doing a video on the perks of growing up as a blonde kid, or the perks of growing up as a boy.
2 months later, the anti-woke YouTube channel Think Before You Sleep, hereafter referred to as Sean, hi Sean, responded to Illy's video in a video titled Fat Acceptance Cartoon. Right after Sean posted this response, the comment section on Illy's video went through some changes. It was flooded with hate comments, threats, insults, inflammatory accusations.
Yeah, I got a lot of hate comments because of your video as well. I didn't sleep for a week. But in all seriousness, man, that is kind of what happens when you make a video on someone. Your fans go and attack them. I'm sure that a lot of the people you have talked about in your videos have also gotten attacked. Also, Think Before You Sleep clearly disavowed this in his follow-up videos, so I don't see what the problem is.
Also a lot of anti-Semitism, so that's kind of weird.
Yeah, that is pretty weird. I hate it when those people show up. To the people who do this, go away. You're just giving the other side more ammo. And also, it's just not nice. I love Jews. Jews are hilarious. By the way, I decided to look into this, and apparently Illymations has been doxxed before for, being Jewish.
'Cause how did I go from confirming my faith in the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit at the ripe old age of 11 to lighting my first menorah in 2020? Well, it all started when I was doxxed. So, what does this have to do with me being Jewish? Well, a certain subsection of people who don't like me or my videos, not all Illymation dislikers, just a subsection of them that I hope is small, identify as, how do I put this? They don't like how World War II ended.
This is something Noah Samson didn't bring up in his video, and it will become important later. But it's clear to me that these people were just using this drama as an excuse to hate on her. It's not really confirmed that they're fans of Think Before You Sleep. This is a common leftist talking point. You have Nazis in your audience. No, those are just people who really hate you.
When one of her followers reached out on Tumblr to ask if she'd seen the video, Illy replied, and after expressing frustration about the harassment she was receiving, she ended the post by asking her followers to report the video.
Yeah, that was her friend Dylan. I personally think he's the real bad guy in this situation. He made Think Before You Sleep's videos seem way worse than it really was. And her telling her fans to report it just based off of testimony was a really stupid move on her part. I sure hope you don't try to justify what she did in this video, because that would be really dumb. And I also hope you don't skip over everything revolving around Dylan, because that would be some really important context you're leaving out.
In response to this one Tumblr post, Sean made a whole new video, Woke YouTuber is Trying to Deplatform Me, in which he accused Illy of leading a campaign of targeted harassment
campaign,
and mass flagging
campaign against me, mass flagging campaign, mass flag his channel, mass flagging.
Oh, I get it. You're using images of a crying baby to represent what he's saying. Oh, that's pretty funny. And while it is true that Think Before You Sleep does have the voice of the nerd emoji, so far everything you said was true. And would you look at that, his video has been taken down right after your video went up, which is, pretty suspicious. Hello, Editing Jar here. The video is now back up.
More recently, Think Before You Sleep's video actually got removed on the basis of cyberbullying and harassment accusations, which I think is just plainly stupid because nowhere in the video does he do any of these things. But they actually brought the video back up some time ago, so that's great, I guess. You fixed a problem that never needed to be fixed in the first place.
against him and his smaller channel,
deplatform a smaller creator, harass a much smaller creator,
in order to deplatform him,
deplatform me, to try and get me deplatformed.
Well, let's see. Is he a smaller creator than her? Yes! Now, was she trying to deplatform him? While that is a bit of an exaggeration, taking someone's video down can lead into them getting deplatformed. It kind of signals to everybody who doesn't like you, oh boy, this is our chance to strike!
And take away his source of income.
Take away my source of income.
Well, the video is now down, so he did lose a source of income. I don't see what the problem is.
The only evidence he has provided for any of these accusations is that one Tumblr post.
And that's all he needs. She asked her fans to strike down his video on Tumblr, and that's what he said she did. I don't think he needs any more evidence than that. And this is also exactly what he said in his video, so I don't know what you're trying to debunk here.
This new video from Sean brought Illy even more
targeted harassment.
Okay, dude, side note, by the way, are we really using this comment as an example of harassment? Who the fuck cares? Hello? This person wrote, nobody cares. Is that even harassment? Like, is telling somebody, like, oh, I don't care. In what universe?
Which culminated in her receiving death threats, rape threats, and being doxxed. For her safety, she was forced to leave her home state, breaking the lease on her apartment, which cost her over $10,000 in legal fees.
I agree that those people are absolutely terrible, and I don't think any of those things should have happened to her. But TBYS is not responsible for any of this. According to yourself, this happened after she tried to strike down his video. And that's one of the 10 commandments of YouTube. Thou shalt not dox, thou shalt not send sus stuff to minors, thou shalt not strike down someone else's video. Now I can sympathize with Illy. She more than likely believed that someone was going to come to her house and unalive her in Minecraft. But in all seriousness, she really shouldn't have taken such a drastic measure. Like, how often do people follow through on a threat made over the internet? Throughout the entire history of the internet, that maybe happens like 5 times a year. If I was going to do something to someone, I wouldn't make a threat. That would just give them time to prepare.
Sean, meanwhile, made out with a slightly better deal. 3 videos, 2.3 million views, 40,000 new subscribers, and a big stack of Google AdSense money.
He gained 30,000 new subscribers, not 40,000 new subscribers. And how do you know he made exactly $10,000? Is it because Illymations lost $10,000? Don't get me wrong, I'm sure he made thousands of dollars off of this, but to assume he made $10,000 because someone he talked about lost $10,000 seems just a little bit silly to me. Oh yeah, and also, just because he came out of this situation on top doesn't mean he was the victim or the perpetrator. He was still a victim of Illy trying to take his video down, just Just because he benefited from the situation doesn't mean he's a bad guy.
There's so much that I want to talk about from this situation. I want to talk about how Sean spends a good amount of his video insulting Illy's appearance under the guise of giving her tips on how to be more attractive.
She could easily be considered attractive by most people if she just stopped wearing those grandma glasses, picked better clothes, learned how to style her hair instead of always leaving it flat to her head with maximum forehead showing, and watched some makeup tutorials.
Oh yeah, I agree, that was a very cringy part in TBYS's video. But he wasn't really criticizing her appearance, he was criticizing her fashion. Now before you say, Ja, I think that's the exact same thing, isn't it? It isn't, but I can understand why you might think so. He did say that many people would find her attractive, and I can agree with that. She does look very attractive. He just thought that she should do something better with her glasses and her hair, which I will agree was kind of cringe. Noah, you really should have played the clip where he criticized her posture. That would have been a much better point. But you're also acting like he was criticizing her appearance throughout the video when he didn't. Also, this is not a big deal. People have made fun of my voice, Think Before You Sleep's voice, and I'm sure a lot of people have made fun of your Joe Dirt looking ass. But it's also very funny that Noah claims that Think Before You Sleep is deceptive, when he's literally being deceptive right here. He cut out the framing and context as to why Think Before You Sleep said this.
Focus on Alyssa's personal beef with her weight, starting out with an experience of hers at an award show.
At the end of 2022, I was nominated for a Streamy Award in the animation category. So I got to walk the Streamy's red carpet and attend the awards ceremony, which was a blast. But when all the photos came out, I felt that oh so familiar lava flow of shame consume me. I hated how wide my legs were when I posed. I hated that squishy part under my chin that stuck out when I smiled.
Alyssa talks down about her appearance a lot in her videos. This is despite having decent features like strawberry blonde hair.
As you can clearly see, Illy is not happy with her own appearance, so that's kind of why Sean gave her advice.
I want to talk about how he spent what must have been hours digging around her social media accounts to find photos of her eating junk food and of her body at a time when she weighed less in order to accuse her of lying about her diet.
And now we got to the part of the video where I finally stopped watching, because this is a blatant lie. He used those pictures of her to say that she doesn't have bad genetics, because she, doesn't.
And are using genetics as an excuse when you have years of history on Instagram of thin pictures of you. What magically changed about your genetics in the past year and a half that made it impossible for you to be thin?
A lot of people like to bring up their genetics as a reason for them being fat. A lot of people have made response videos on me, and this is one of the most common tactics they use. They will play clips from the videos they're responding to, but not the audio. That way they can make up whatever bullshit they want. Like, let's really think about Noah's point and how it doesn't make any sense at all. Oh, here's a picture of you when you're thinner, therefore you're lying about your diet. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense at all.
So now I have to do some investigating to find out what Alyssa's eating habits are. After scrolling down through her community tab, the only thing I was able to see her eating was ice cream. Strike one.
I want to talk about how he had to lie for a lot of these insults, like how the very next post on her community tab after the milkshake thing showed her holding a bag of wheat bread.
No, Noah, that's... Wait a second. That's actually a great point! Good job! He claimed he only found pictures of her eating ice cream, and you showed that that was a lie. Good on you, mate! Now I want to make this clear. This doesn't debunk the point in my video. I just said she hasn't kicked her middle school eating habits, because she, hasn't. I guess she's eating whole wheat bread, but she still has the eating habits of a middle schooler. Guys, just because TBYS was wrong, doesn't mean I was wrong. But I do love how Noah had to exaggerate by saying it took Think Before You Sleep hours to find these pictures. Bro, it was only 2 pictures. One of her eating McDonald's, and the other one of her drinking the Grimace shake. I don't think it took him hours to find that.
Or how the photo he used to insult her fashion sense by saying she dresses like a homeless person.
Holy shit, that is bad. This girl has millions of followers, yet if you saw her out in public, you'd be afraid that she's about to pester you for spare change.
Was taken while she was hiking, and Sean knew that, but cropped out the identifying information so that his audience wouldn't. The less perceptive ones anyway, given that she's, sitting on a log in dirt.
What? Another good point? Oh, Noah's on a roll right now. It's a good thing I didn't make this point in my video, but unfortunately everyone, it's all downhill from here. Yeah, this is pretty much the last good point he makes in his video, because it's about to get really bad. Well, I think it's time to take a break from talking about the Illymations drama to go over to sponsor of today's video, Porkbun. Have you ever wanted a website domain but didn't know where to start?
Mamma mia!
Maybe you have a game, a service, or some other type of project that you want to advertise. Well, Porkbun has you covered with over 500 domain expansions covering everything from .com to XYZ. If you work online, you definitely need a domain for your website. Free with every domain are web and hosting trials, link in bio trials, and so much more. There are other websites that also offer domains, but Porkbun is one of, if not the cheapest. In fact, it's 2 times cheaper than its nearest competitor. You can sign up for it today with my promo code NOTAROBOT to get $1 off your next domain name with Porkbun. And make sure you visit the URL in the description today, because why pay for things that should be free? If you're ready to save money, join Porkbun now.
And now back to your regularly scheduled program.
I want to talk about all that, but I have to shelve those points for now because there's a more pressing issue at hand, which is that Sean's videos caused a doxing.
See what I mean? He never asked his fans to dox her. If someone makes a video on me and I get doxed because of it, I'm gonna feel upset about it, but I'm not gonna blame the person for it.
It's not like that person was brainwashed to go out and harass his creator. Like, what kind of hypodermic needle theory bullshit is this? Like, unless that content creator openly mobilizes their fans to go and spam mean stuff in their comment section, I don't think they can be blamed for what their fans say and do.
And by the way, these are the only 2 clips of Think Before You Sleep quote-unquote insulting Illy's appearance. I know Noah made it sound like it was a big portion of the video, but this is literally all it is.
On the internet, things like doxing and harassment are often treated as natural law.
Unfortunately, that's because it is. There's pretty much no way to stop it. I've told my fans not to harass people I talk about multiple times, and it barely works. Some of my fans have even straight up sent me the dox information of the people I've covered on this channel. Like, guys, stop that. Get some help.
Mean comments are inevitable. Even if you ask people not to, they'll still leave them. If people are going to take things too far, like doxing, then there's not much you can really do to stop it. This seems to be Sean's perspective on the matter.
Yeah, and it's a very reasonable perspective to have. No one has full control of their audience. That's just silly to assume. Now, don't get me wrong, they do have some control over their fan base. I dealt with this guy called Prisonmate Luke. He would make a video on someone and make them seem like the worst person ever. And at the very tail end, he would tell people not to attack them, knowing full well that the person he just talked about would get massively harassed. But TBYS really didn't try to make Illymations look like a bad person. From my perspective, he just pointed out that she wasn't fat and was misguided, and that's pretty much it. And a lot of other people thought the same thing. It wasn't until she told her fans to strike down his video that they really started going after her. Also, she was doxxed before all of this happened. Once your dox is out there, it's kind of out there. There's nothing you can really do.
This comment brigading behavior appears to just be a fact of nature that creators can't control. So really, it's on YouTube to make an interface change that addresses this problem.
The only real exemption from this excuse seems to be when a creator directly asks their audience to harass or dox someone. If that doesn't happen though, then sorry, it's the internet.
Yeah, and I agree with that perspective. I don't think you're responsible for TBYS's video being taken down or the hate comments underneath my video. You can't control all your fans. Also, I don't know why you play that clip of him asking YouTube to have an interface change, because that sounded very reasonable from my perspective, but you do you, I guess.
Now, while that may be the case in some situations, this is not one of them. Sean didn't ask anyone to dox or harass Illy.
That is indeed correct, he didn't. So, why are you still talking about this?
What he did do, though, is misrepresent and deceptively edit her video in order to conjure ideas which directly motivated the people who did. And when I say directly, I mean directly.
Whoa, now that sounds absolutely terrible. I certainly hope you can prove this point. Also, I know you said he was directly responsible for this, but the people who doxed her for being Jewish, and they did it before his first video about her even came out.
We doxed Illy because she tried to get another popular content creator, Think Before You Sleep, taken down by YouTube, all because he made a video rightfully criticizing her.
Okay, so do you guys remember when there was that mass, sneezer who said sub to PewDiePie? PewDiePie wasn't responsible for that guy, and Think Before You Sleep is not responsible for this guy. This person seems to be doxing Illy because she broke one of the 10 commandments of YouTube. Thou shalt not dox.
She is also promoting fat culture and how being fit and working out your body is useless and fatphobic.
Well, she did heavily imply that working out your body is useless in her video, at least when it comes to weight loss.
And after a month of working out for 3 days a week, 45 minutes at a time, doing cardio, abs, arms, legs, as well as going to cycling and/or yoga class once a week for an hour, I lost 0 pounds? How?
That wasn't caused by Think Before You Sleep, that was caused by Illy. And as for promoting fat culture, well, she sung the praises of Aubrey Gordon, someone who you didn't go over in your video, which is, quite suspicious.
She also promotes that's an anti-trans slur, and woke culture. That was posted on the website that hosted Illy's doxing information. The actual doxing took place on a different website, and the very first post of the original doxing thread shared these same motivations. We need to dox her because she promotes fat culture, she believes in woke bullshit, and when a based YouTuber like Think Before You Sleep called her out, she threw a fit and asked her fans to mass flag his channel to get it deleted.
I agree that these people are going too far, but I don't see how Think Before You Sleep is responsible for any of this, in any way.
They pervade the doxing threads, sprinkled between a sea of death threats, rape threats, and depictions of Illy committing suicide. These ideas are the reason they hate her, and all of them, every single one, was fabricated by Sean.
Oh, they were fabricated by him. Oh, okay. Well, I sure hope you can prove this claim, because this video has been going on for a while and I just want to get to your evidence already.
Alright, so the first one of these narratives that I want to look at today is the idea that Illy promotes obesity. One of the main concluding points of Sean's video is that Illy's advice is going to kill people by causing them to eat themselves into an early grave.
You know what's great about this advice? Because you conflated being overweight with extreme obesity, so you could say that both are healthy, what's going to happen is that people who watch this video that are 300 pounds are going to say, see, Alyssa is fine with being overweight, I don't have to change either. And then they'll eat themselves into an early grave.
Note that it's not just it might happen, he said that it's going to happen.
I love how he completely changed the wording of Think Before You Sleep's point. No, he never implied that Illymations was going to be killing people, just that a lot of people will eat themselves into an early grave. That's not the same thing as killing someone. I assume that most of Illymations' audience is Americans, and Americans are extremely overweight. Illy, in her own video, described herself as categorically overweight.
Here I am, at the heaviest I've ever been in my entire life, categorically overweight and well within middle school mocking range, but also the healthiest I've ever been, according to multiple doctors.
When she really wasn't overweight, but then she claimed that she's healthier than she's ever been before. Now I'm sure there's a high possibility that she's healthier than she's ever been before, but she's clearly not overweight.
So it's sort of a direct accusation there, just so we're clear about that.
I've seen Think Before You Sleep's video, I've seen other people's videos on Illymations. No one accused her of killing people. That's just silly.
Now, that's a pretty serious accusation, right? So how does he justify it? Well, right before it, he presents what he calls Illy's final piece of advice and uses that as evidence to argue that she is promoting obesity.
Well, she's also promoting Aubrey Gordon, who promotes obesity. Something that you didn't go over at all in your video because you're trying to construct a narrative.
All right, let's see Alyssa's final piece of advice.
A carrot isn't an inherent good food, while chocolate is an inherent bad food. Food is just food.
Oh my god, this line gets dumber every time I hear it. By the way, I'm gonna have to play a long clip from Noah's video for context, so buckle up everyone.
No matter how many calories, carbs, sugars, you should feel free to eat whatever food you want to without beating yourself up about it.
I'm done. That was such terrible advice. I don't know how this video could be considered as anything other than enabling food addicts to not fix their health.
So Illy's quotes here, that food is just food and you should eat whatever you want, were the most important pieces of evidence to Sean's conclusion. Accordingly, they were represented in a few other places. In the thumbnail of his video, for example, Illy is holding a sign that reads, "Eat what you want," to an audience of children, while her avatar holds a milkshake and is depicted as being unstable. These quotes seem to be the real sticking point for other creators that covered his video.
Food is just food.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Clearly there's a couple of dumbass arguments that are open to be criticized.
Well, actually, all food is the same. No, you fucking idiot. Of course all food's not the same.
Remember, she basically says there's no difference between eating a carrot and a cookie or whatever, pure gold. Did she actually say that? That's really funny. Yeah, I mean, the fat acceptance stuff is just gone way too far, I think.
You give up on yourself, your goals, and that food is food.
What you are proposing is very unhealthy and dangerous. What is your problem, you evil, life-destroying monster? You just ruined a bunch of young people's, especially girls' lives. So did she really say this? Is she really going to get people killed? Let's take a closer look at the evidence and find out. So one thing I noticed in Sean's video is that there's a funny cut when he shows this clip. Right after the line, no matter how many calories, carbs, and sugars, the video skips just a bit. The s'more changes hands, the boy's blood sugar monitor, that's what this is, it just sort of appears on the chair. There's a break in continuity. So I went back to Illy's actual video and see if you can spot what he decided to cut from this sequence.
No matter how many calories, carbs, sugars, whatever is in it. Unless you have life-threatening allergies or dietary restrictions to follow, you should feel free to eat whatever food you want to without beating yourself up about it.
So immediately before she says that faded line, eat whatever you want, she added a caveat. She said, unless you have life-threatening allergies or dietary restrictions to follow.
Awesome, we finally got to the end of his point. But I have one question. How does this little extra bit contradict anything Think Before You Sleep or anyone else has said? None of those clips you played from any of those people, including myself, have ever said, oh my god, she doesn't care about people with allergies. She's basically telling people with peanut allergies that they should eat peanut butter. As for the line about dietary restrictions, you can be overweight and not be on a diet. You know that, right? Oh, but Josh, she added some caveats to her point. Okay, but her point is still very stupid. Like, if I add a few caveats to my point, does that mean no one can criticize it? Like, Noah acts like this is such a gotcha, but it means nothing. I guess Think Before You Sleep should have added this in his video, and I don't know why he took it out, but including it really doesn't change anything. To everyone who commented, oh, Think Before You Sleep deceptively edited Illymation's video. Is this what you guys were talking about? Wow, you guys are dumb for falling for this. Noah Samson, here's a bit of advice. If you want to debunk a point, you gotta debunk the point. Her line about food just being food is still dumb, whether you add her two little caveats or not.
Or, most importantly, for Sean's conclusion, the dietary restrictions recommended to morbidly obese people.
Not all morbidly obese people are on dietary restrictions. Also, she didn't bring up morbidly obese people. You did. Noah is changing the wording of Think Before You Sleep's points to make them sound worse than they really are, and he's also changing the wording of Illymation's points to make them seem better than they really are. It's such a snaky tactic. And even if you don't have any allergies or are not morbidly obese, believing that food is just food is a stupid thing to believe.
He just cut that line right out. And this is important, right?
Oh my god, no! Saying right at the end of your point doesn't mean it's right. Stop tricking people into believing it is. You're not Cenk Uygur.
Because this line directly refutes Sean's narrative that Illy is promoting obesity.
Well, if we ignore the fact that it doesn't, then yes.
And so, when these lines, food is just food and carrots aren't good and chocolate isn't bad, are being presented as dieting advice, and yeah, you already know people were gonna have something to say about that. And say about that, they did.
S'mores are a diet food. Got it.
So 27 bars of chocolate is equal to a meal of broccoli, grilled tomato, mashed potatoes, and chicken. Nice to know.
I have diabetes type 3. Time to eat 4 trillion Oreos.
It's really funny, that last one, given that Illy specifically accounted for diabetic people, but Sean just didn't show it, so then there was a bunch of comments about diabetes, really good.
Yeah, fair point. Think Before You Sleep probably should have added that line. A handful of people did come to the wrong conclusion because of his video.
The other alleged creators covering this video did the same thing.
Carrots are definitely healthier for you than a chocolate bar, so telling kids something otherwise is actually harmful.
What has more calories? 1 pound of broccoli or half a cup of olive oil? Half a cup of olive.
Did one of your professional doctors tell you this? Was the nutritionist the one that told you that carrots and chocolates are the same? I can't believe a full-grown adult actually believes this dumb shit. Here's a fact. chocolate is high in sugar and saturated fat.
Yeah, they just go on like that for like 10 minutes. They sound like they're having a blast, honestly. There must be a floor to critical thinking that when you blow past it, everything just starts feeling like pure euphoria. This response here from both audiences and creators relies on Sean's framing of Illy's words.
It really doesn't. She said chocolate isn't an inherently bad food and carrots aren't an inherently good food. I didn't come to that conclusion because of his video, I came to that conclusion because of her video. Bringing up that she said, oh, but dietary restrictions and allergies doesn't change how dumb this point is.
That they were intended as dieting advice. But the thing is, they weren't.
Okay, yes, her video wasn't about giving dieting tips. You are correct about that. But you and I both know that Illymations has a very young and impressionable audience, so a lot of them will take this as dieting advice. And even if it's not dieting advice, it's still a really dumb thing to say. I, along with everybody else who has covered Illymation's video, never made the claim that she's a dietitian.
Illy's video has some fairly straightforward themes. She talks about dealing with negative body image, about getting bullied, starting unhealthy eating habits, and frustrations over weight loss. Her video is a direct critique of diet culture and its morality-based food logic.
Yeah, she said it was a very colonial way of thinking. Her example of a fat person was someone who runs marathons, which, yes, there are fat people who run marathons, but their accomplished times are, laughable.
She relates her own experiences to the common occurrence of teenagers dieting despite already being at a healthy weight.
Yeah, some teenagers just want to look better, and just because you're not overweight doesn't mean you're not fat.
Immediately before the good and bad foods clip, Illy introduces a concept called body neutrality, which advocates for removing the moral element from how we view our bodies. She then states that she is about to apply that concept to food. So given the actual content of her video, and the direct link she'd just drawn from moral neutrality to food, when she finally actually says these lines, her intent could not be more clear. She's talking about morality. She's saying that eating carrots doesn't make you a good person, just like eating chocolate doesn't make you a bad person.
Okay, well, even if we look at this from a moral angle, it's still dumb. Someone who picks having a carrot over a chocolate probably has more self-control. Also, chocolates have wrappers. Someone who eats a lot of chocolates probably adds more to pollution than someone who eats carrots. Most chocolate, hashtag not all, is made with milk, which is produced by the suffering of cows. And also, a lot of fat and unhealthy citizens will make it harder for the government to provide public health care. I went over this in my last video, but England has a sugar tax for a reason. I'm sorry, but you just can't be pro-fat acceptance and pro-public health care at the same time. They're completely contradictory ideas. And this is assuming that you were right about her talking about food from a moral perspective and not a health perspective. The only argument from Illy's video that would even support this claim is when she talked about body neutrality. You gave her the benefit of the doubt, acted like everybody misconstrued her arguments, and even then, you didn't make a good point.
Because of this sequence, the message of her video is that she endorses drug abuse.
Stop writing criticism off as malicious concern trolling when the ending message of your video was effectively, if you can't stop doing drugs, then drugs aren't bad, and you should take whatever drugs you want and as many drugs as you want.
This was yet another inflammatory statement that was mainlined into the beautiful working brains of the people harassing her.
What? No, that's clearly an exaggeration of his point. Like, he's not actually saying she endorses this. He's just saying by her own logic she does.
Keep in mind that Alyssa's videos are clearly targeted at children based on the style of animation and the references and jokes she makes.
The implication here is that Illy's video may end up directly harming or possibly killing children. If we hold him to all the assertions he's made here, that's what the video is telling us.
What? That's so dumb. You actually believe he's accusing her of killing children? What's wrong with you? So because TBYS said that her promoting the fat acceptance movement is going to cause people to eat themselves into an early grave, and that because she has an impressionable audience, that means he's accusing her of killing children. Ah, of course, it's so obvious. The mental gymnastics on display in this video are incredible.
And at that point, they knew where she lived. Thankfully, Illy was able to move before anything violent happened, but if this person, for example, had taken action, Sean's video very well could have been what pushed them over the edge.
Okay, first of all, I highly doubt this person would have followed through on this threat. Granted, it is bad for them to make it in the first place, but I highly doubt they would have followed through on it. As for TBYS being responsible for the person going through with this in any way, shape, or form, that's just dumb. Like, even if he completely 100% misrepresented her video, there are plenty of people in the fat acceptance movement who believe what TBYS's portrayal of Illymations believes. Now, I could be wrong on this, but as far as I'm aware, no one has come to the house of a fat acceptance advocate and pushed him off a cliff in Minecraft.
Before we move on to the next section, I just want to play the part of Illy's video that comes right after the sequence we just watched, but that Sean decided to just leave out.
Oh great, now she's glorifying obesity. I'm not glorifying anything. My point is simple. Don't be a d to fat people. And don't use, I just care about their health, as an excuse. Being fat doesn't automatically mean someone is less healthy or too lazy to look like you or however you think they should look. You don't know these people.
Those are the devil's advocate characters there, advocating for the thing Sean believes and says. It's an interesting little detail.
Wait, they advocate that Illy wants to kill children? Like, I get that her ending point was don't be a dick to fat people, but a lot of the points throughout her video were really bad. Like, she can say that was her point at the end of the video, but that doesn't mean you can't criticize her arguments.
Okay, so the second idea that Sean fabricates in his videos is that Illy tried to deplatform him.
Deplatform me, deplatform me, to try and get me deplatformed, deplatform a smaller creator.
This idea drove the second, more serious wave of harassment, which is what led to Illy's doxing.
She was doxed before this happened, and even if she wasn't, it sounds to me that what caused her to be doxed was her trying to strike down someone else's video. Now, I want to make this clear. I don't agree that she should have been doxed. That's a very bad thing that happened to her, and it's wrong. But her trying to take down his video is also a very bad thing, and it's also wrong. I know you consider that to be a super controversial take, for some reason.
It was also another one of the explicitly cited motivations of the doxers. Other creators covering the story were very vocally opposed to this idea.
They tried to deplatform. Think before you sleep.
Getting deplatformed when you're an influencer is essentially like being fired.
I am never for deplatforming.
People sometimes just don't get it and they want to deplatform people no matter what.
Don't send hate to him, by the way. Just make sure you harass and deplatform him. 14,000 likes. Just take away his income by completely taking away his channel. 2,000 likes. Is this the channel that's trying to get other channels deplatformed? 5.7 thousand likes. So is this what actually happened? Well, why don't we take a look at the evidence? As I mentioned in the intro, there's only one piece of evidence that Sean has presented for every accusation he's made here.
And that's all he needs. I'm sorry, but that's literally all he needs. No one has made the claim that there's more evidence than this. You can't act like this is taken out of context because it isn't. I do agree that his entire channel is probably not going to be taken down, but his video is certainly going to be deplatformed. But when you take into account that he did 2 more videos on her, and if she got those 2 taken down as well, then yes, he would have been deplatformed. Think Before You Sleep didn't ask his fans to do anything, but Illymations did. And that's the problem that people have with her. I don't understand why you don't see this. Like, I love how Noah says, if this troll came to Illymation's house and did something, TBYS's video would have been the straw that broke the camel's back. But then he looks at this and he's like, I don't really see a problem with this. Why are you guys getting all worked up?
And that's Illy's Tumblr post. Specifically, its last line, which reads, if you or anyone else comes across this video, please report it for cyberbullying. Now, viewers that are paying attention right now may notice that this post doesn't say anything about deplatforming.
Oh my god. Oh no. Taking down someone's video can lead to them being deplatformed. Like, how do you not get this? Like, if you personally wanted someone's video to be taken down, there has to be at least a small part of you that wants their entire channel gone.
This post asks her followers to report the video. Reporting and deplatforming are not the same thing.
Okay, I guess on a technical level they aren't, but this is such a nitpick.
Just because a report can lead to a deplatforming does not make these terms interchangeable.
Okay, I guess you're correct, but we're arguing about semantics at this point.
To understand why that is, let's take a minute to walk through how the deplatforming process actually works. This part will be a bit dry, so I'll throw some visuals up on the screen now to keep things interesting for you guys. Enjoy.
Okay, I don't think my content is the best, but I can't imagine anyone finding this entertaining. Oh, he put a monkey on screen. That's hilarious.
In order for a YouTube channel to be terminated, it has to receive 3 channel strikes. Channel strikes are usually issued when a video is reported, that report is reviewed, and the reviewers determine that the video has violated the YouTube community guidelines.
There are some exceptions to this rule. Most infamously of all is probably I Hate Everything. His entire channel got deleted because he destroyed a bootleg DVD. No, I'm not joking. But if you get just 1 strike, that puts you 1 step closer to having your entire channel taken down.
Just like the warnings, channel strikes can also be appealed. Were he to receive a strike, Sean would again have the opportunity to argue his case for why he thinks the reviewers got it wrong.
As someone who has tried to appeal stuff like this on YouTube before, I will say that the YouTube system is absolutely terrible. It really depends on who's reviewing your video, what mood they're in, and if there's an actual person watching your video and not just a bot. Even if you don't violate any of the guidelines, your video could still get taken down. Hell, my video on Illymations got copyright claimed because I played a clip for a few seconds too long, I guess.
If the appeal he submitted were to be granted, his video would go back up and the strike would be removed from his channel. The important thing here, though, is that even if he had been issued a warning, appealed the warning, lost the appeal, then received a strike, then appealed that strike and lost that appeal, finally actually getting a strike, that's still not deplatforming. That's step 1 to deplatforming.
Yeah, you are absolutely right about this. I don't think people should have used the term deplatforming to describe something like this. But what Illymations did was still wrong.
So one of the other claims being made to justify this deplatforming accusation is that Illy asked Sean's channel to be mass flagged. She asked her millions of followers to report the video, and this is an especially serious threat to Sean's livelihood.
Told people in her massive 2.5 million person following, my channel is on the line because Alyssa has millions of followers.
But this too is false. In terms of YouTube's review process, mass flagging doesn't actually do anything. The amount of flags that a video receives has no bearing on the reviewer's decisions. Here is YouTube's global head of trust and safety, Matt Halprin, explaining that.
It doesn't matter whether there's 1 flag, 1,000 flags, 10,000 flags. It literally makes no difference into how the evaluation works or whether content should stay up or stay down.
Okay, first of all, if this is true, then why did Illy ask her fans to flag down his video? We know what her intent was, so she's still just as guilty. You saying, oh, she may have asked her fans to mass report the video, but if she just reported the video herself, the effect would have still been the same. It doesn't change the fact that she asked her fans to mass report the video.
Here's this guy from YouTube's Creator Insider channel saying the same thing.
Sometimes a video with lots of flags is a result of what the team calls brigading, meaning a large group of people have tried to gang up on the video in an attempt to take it down, even though it doesn't violate a policy. Can they take it down? No. Again, all videos are evaluated under the same policies, no matter how many flags they have.
Oh, okay, so this guy claims that all videos are reviewed under the same policies. Then, why was I Hate Everything's channel taken down because he destroyed a DVD? Bro, YouTube makes mistakes all the time, and the more and more reports that are made, the more likely a mistake is to happen. I mean, Think Before You Sleep's video was taken down by YouTube, and now it's back up. It's almost like YouTube made a mistake by taking it down in the first place or something.
This term, mass flagging, makes it sound like really scary, mass flagging, oh, it's a massive, huge flag, but it's not. It doesn't affect the review decision.
Dude, if you actually believe that, you're an idiot.
The other point here, though, on mass flagging is that even if it did affect the review system, it wouldn't actually matter in this case because this wasn't mass flagging. The figure being thrown around, her 2.5 million subscribers, it's false. It's literally not true. Illy made this post on Tumblr. At the time of posting, her Tumblr account had 2,400 followers.
Oh, okay, so it was still a mass flagging operation. Yeah, it wasn't as bad as Think Before You Sleep made it out to be, but it was still a mass flagging operation nonetheless.
She didn't post about it anywhere on YouTube. This number, 2,400, is less than 0.1% of her YouTube subscribers. Sean must have known this too, because, firstly, even though Tumblr doesn't display followers publicly, followers never transfer evenly between platforms.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I agree with you on this. Think Before You Sleep did exaggerate the problem he was facing. Yeah, she does have a larger channel than his, but she wasn't asking all of her fans to go after him.
that actually even interacted with what she said. The sheer scale at which this number has been exaggerated here is just, it's awe-inspiring.
Wait, what? You're going off of how much interaction the post got? Really? Okay, let's say I was in a drama with a YouTuber that had 1,000 subscribers, and I made a video on them, but my video did really terrible. It only got like, I don't know, 300 likes or something, and it also only got roughly 4,000 views. I think the small channel with 1,000 subscribers has every right to say, a YouTuber sent his 200,000 fans after me. Like, this whole rant he's going on about how much engagement the post got is just so autistic. And that's coming from me.
The third and final element to this deplatforming accusation is the implication that Illy was false flagging.
By rallying her audience to falsely flag Think Before You Sleep's video.
Send your fans and friends to false flag another individual.
She was false flagging his channel, being malicious and trying to get the video taken down for whatever you can.
People make fun of the leafy style gaming background footage, but I like it, to be honest. I think it's fun. A lot of shapes and colors and bright lights on the screen. It's engaging.
Yeah, but it's really lazy, and most of them suck at the games they're playing, unlike me.
Alright, so Illy was asking people to report his video while knowing that it wasn't reportable. That's the claim. Now, let's first establish that there's no actual evidence for this argument. All of Illy's posts pretty clearly indicate that her intent in flagging the video was to stop the harassment it was, and still is, causing. None of these posts show her to be knowingly asking for a false flag.
Wait, what? Are you serious? No one in all of YouTube history who started a mass reporting campaign ever said, can you please falsely strike this video for me? So because she didn't ask her fans to falsely strike down the video, therefore she's doing it in good faith? That's dumb. Also, just because she's claiming that the reason is to stop the harassment against herself doesn't disprove that she wants to falsely get the video taken down.
Regardless though, let's tame this argument. 2 points are being raised for this claim. Number one, Sean's video wasn't actually cyberbullying, so reporting it is malicious.
I know that my video doesn't break any of them in the hate speech policy or the harassment and cyberbullying policy.
The video you're trying to flag does not qualify as harassment.
In no way is the video cyberbullying.
So firstly, whether or not Sean's video actually broke the rules is not your call. It's not my call. It's not your mom's call. You should call your mom though. It's YouTube's call.
YouTube, a company run by Google, a company that also has very few employees, a company that regularly makes mistakes. And even then, whether it's your call, my call, or YouTube's call, Illymations didn't even watch the video.
YouTube's reviewers decide that. Their opinion is the only opinion that actually matters.
Does it matter because they have the authority to take it down or leave it up? Like, you and I both know most of this stuff is done by bots. And even if it was done by people, not every person shares the same opinion. It seems to me that one person took the video down and another person put the video back up.
And if what you're saying is true, then why are we whining about it? Sean has nothing to worry about. The review will come up negative. If it doesn't, then he can appeal, and if he didn't break the rules, then he'll win that appeal. A review coming up negative doesn't prove ill intent.
It's still very annoying to deal with, and it's still a bad thing that Illymations did, and it's absolutely disgusting that you're downplaying it.
If that were the case, then every negative review ever made would be a false flag, and that's silly, you know, these things happen all the time.
Oh yeah, stuff like that does happen a lot. But when people feel like a false strike was made in bad faith, a good example is the Kai and Akumu drama, people are going to call it out. I've had roughly a dozen videos made on me that absolutely slandered me, and I've never striked any of them down.
Despite its silliness, though, that didn't stop some of these guys from essentially making this same claim.
Do you know what's actually in violation of YouTube's bullying and harassment rules? This Tumblr post.
What she's doing with this post right here does actually break YouTube's terms of service.
Interestingly, Sean doesn't cite the rule that she allegedly broke here, which is why no one else cited it either. They get all of their information from each other's videos and nothing more. Drama YouTube is an epistemological human centipede.
Oh, I 100% agree. That's a big problem with the drama community. I mean, just look at your own fan base. You made a lot of stupid points in your video, and your fans just repeated them ad nauseum. But if you're wondering what rule Illymations broke, it's when she directly sent her fans to harass someone else.
The following restrictions apply to your use of the service. You are not allowed to, number 7, misuse any reporting, flagging, complaint, dispute, or appeals process, including by making groundless, vexatious, or frivolous submissions. This is literally that meme format of I sleep and then at the bottom real shit, but it's just way more retarded.
And yes, asking your fans to mass report a video and not leave hate comments is still harassment. Sometimes when I make a drama video, I'll tell my fans not to attack someone, and sometimes I don't do that. But I've never directly told my fans to attack someone.
I can't find the rule that Sean is referring to here, so let us know when you respond. In the meantime though, what I have is this screenshot from YouTube support telling Illy that it's okay for her to submit the report, even if she's not 100% positive that it applies.
Oh, okay. Did they also tell her it's okay for her to make a Tumblr post and tell her fans to mass report a video? And just because YouTube says it's alright to report a video even if you're not sure, most of the general YouTube audience does not share that same opinion. Like, this is such a legality equals right argument.
That's an important note here, I guess, is that YouTube literally gave her the green light to do this.
Wait, YouTube gave her the green light to create a Tumblr post and ask her fans to mass report the video?
I probably could have mentioned that sooner, but there we go. Surprise. Enjoy. So now we're down to just the final argument, which is that Illy's report was false flagging because she didn't even watch the video before reporting it. She went solely off of her friend's biased summary, and that's a false flag because she didn't even know what he said.
Make sure to not watch it before doing that, by the way.
Go and report his video that I didn't even watch up to that point.
She hasn't even watched.
She didn't even watch the video, and she even said this herself.
This last argument is purely a moral one, right? Because it has no grounds within the guidelines. There's nothing in the rules that says you can't report a video based on a rundown from a trusted source.
Oh, so because YouTube themselves didn't specify that, it's okay. No, reporting a video without even watching it is dumb. I said it before, I'm gonna say it again. This guy is such a legality equals right kind of person. If you haven't watched a video but you flagged it, and on top of that asked your fans to flag it, then in my book, that's a false flag.
They don't make you plug in an eye tracker and play the full thing before you click flag.
I don't think anyone has ever implied that, and of course they wouldn't. That would be way too expensive.
The moral claim here is that you should hear out the criticism. It's the right thing to do. Until you do, you have no idea what he's saying, whether or not it's actually bullying, and who knows? Maybe he has a point. Maybe it's worth listening to. Since this is a strictly moral question, there's no real objective way to answer it, so I'll just give my opinion. No. Illy didn't ask for this criticism.
Okay, yeah, this guy is clearly morally bankrupt. No one asked for criticism. Okay, well, I guess some people do, but the overwhelming majority of people don't. I don't believe Think Before You Sleep requested criticism from you. I didn't ask for criticism from your fans, but I still got it. In my opinion, which seems to be the popular opinion, if you're gonna strike down a video, you probably should at least watch half of it first.
His video was totally unsolicited. That doesn't mean I think Sean shouldn't be allowed to make his video, but I also don't think that Illy should be expected to sit through it either.
I agree, I don't believe you're required to sit through a video criticizing you, but if you're gonna flag it, you probably should watch it.
Especially given the immediate abundance of evidence that the video inspired a harassment campaign.
Oh, really? It did? Well, where's that evidence? I'm looking for it, I don't see it. Yeah, sure, she received a lot of hate comments, but that's gonna happen when someone makes a video on you. I wouldn't call it a harassment campaign. Keep in mind, you're the same guy who said telling your fans on Tumblr to flag down someone's video isn't a false flagging campaign. But apparently, not telling your fans directly to attack someone is a harassment campaign. Yeah, that makes no sense. Keep in mind, most of the harassment that Illy got was after she made her Tumblr post asking her fans to flag down his video.
It doesn't strike me as some giant leap in logic for her to assume that it may have been made in bad faith.
She didn't even watch the video, so it's a giant leap in logic from where I'm standing. Oh, someone made a video on me, and now I'm getting a lot of hate comments. Oh, it must have been made in bad faith. I'm gonna ask my fans to flag it down.
Like, imagine one of your friends comes to you and says, hey, some random 850,000 subscriber YouTube channel made a weird, dishonest, and unnecessarily mean video about you, and that's when you notice the hundreds of comments harassing you for things your friend mentioned being in the video. If you were to then say, yeah, I'm good on that, not worth sitting through that probably, that seems like a pretty normal thing to do.
Oh, golly gee willikers, absolutely! Yeah, that sounds like a very reasonable thing to do. But you're leaving out the part where she asked her fans to mass report the video. Yeah, when you add that part in, it kind of completely changes the entire context of your point. Noah Samson really doesn't like Think Before You Sleep, so he's 100% intentionally downplaying what she did and overplaying what he did.
Don't mistake my argument here as me saying people should just start flagging videos for no reason just because they don't like someone. That's That's not what I'm saying, and that's not what Illy did.
Well, if we ignore the fact that that's exactly what you're saying, and that's exactly what Illy did, then yes.
My point here is simply that the circumstances of this situation, to me, seem clearly within the bounds of a reasonable response.
No. It is absolutely not reasonable not to watch someone's video they made on you, and then ask your fans to report their video. If she decided not to watch the video, then that's fine. You don't have to watch every video made on you. If she did watch the video and decided that it was made in bad faith, and then asked her fans to report it, that would be bad, but I could understand where she was coming from. But not watching a video and going off of your friend's biased testimony and then asking your fans to mass report the video is completely unreasonable.
A practical solution to a pressing problem.
It's not practical to ask your fans to mass report a video that you haven't seen, and it wasn't really a pressing problem, it was just a negative video someone made on her. I understand that a lot of my arguments right now are basically, I disagree, but he's not really making an argument, he's just saying really dumb stuff, and I am baffled at the large amount of people who fell for the points made in this awful video.
And maybe that's not enough for you. Maybe you really do think that she should have watched it. I have seen it suggested by some creators that in this situation and situations like these, creators only have two options.
Either A, make a response video to the response video towards your original video, or B, ignore it and move on.
Who cares if people are mean to you online? Just ignore it. Or respond to it, make content out of it, you know?
Sean seemed particularly enthusiastic on this point.
If you simply did nothing, Alyssa, you had about 4 more days before everyone forgot about you. If you want this to go away, then stop trying to get my video and my channel taken down, and really put a lot of her time and energy into trying to get me deplatformed, when really, she should be busy enjoying her vacation in Japan. Everyone moves on with their life after about a week or two. Except Alyssa.
So setting aside the clearly intimidating language here, I'm gonna be honest guys, I think you all need to take a second, unplug the surge protector at your feet, and step outside of debate lord land into human land.
As a robot, I find that offensive. But in all seriousness, this is not really debate lord land. These are very common things that most people believe. I'll continue his video to see if he makes a point, but so far he has said nothing.
I spoke with some other YouTubers that Sean has made these sorts of unsolicited response videos about, and to this question of why not hear him out and respond, they all said basically the same thing, which was, why the hell would I do that?
Noah, you do know those were one of the two options, right? You can either A, respond to the video, or B, just ignore it. And it sounds to me like these people ignored it. The reason why people are angry at Illy and not these people is because, well, they didn't ask their fans to flag down his video. He's changing the argument so hard. You guys actually believe that people should be forced to sit down and watch negative videos made on them? If they're gonna ask their fans to report the video, then yes.
This is Nicole Raffi. Sean made a video about her called Feminism is Brainwashing Women to Like Feminine Men. Oh man, this is so fun.
Oh my god, he's like one of those people on Twitter who react to thumbnails of my videos. Let's talk about this video without actually seeing it. We're just gonna judge it off of the thumbnail and the title.
They also tend to not watch my videos and base their opinions off the title itself. So very ill-informed community.
Oh, the irony! It's too much! So yeah, Noah goes on to show a bunch of conversations he's had with people that Think Before You Sleep has made videos on, and it really doesn't prove anything. Basically, all he's trying to say is, hey, Think Before You Sleep's fans can be pretty mean, therefore you shouldn't have to watch the videos he makes on you. And yeah, I guess I agree with that, but these people weren't asking their fans to mass report one of his videos.
And look, I'm a little piggy, okay? I like playing around in the mud with the other little muddy little piggies. But that's consensual, you know? I dove into the pit.
When you make videos on the internet publicly, you have gave your consent to be criticized. Sure, you can take steps to mitigate criticism by turning off your comments, blocking people, and other stuff like that. This whole idea that someone can only make a video on you if you make videos on other people is just dumb. I'm pretty sure if I never made a drama video and only did cartoon reviews, people would still find ways to make videos on me. Okay, I'm gonna be skipping another big section of Noah's video. He just goes on and on about how Think Before You Sleep uses the term woke.
Anyone that has been deemed woke is de facto bad. Thus, even the seemingly simple act of using that label on someone, as Sean did with Illy in his second video's title, is a form of guilt by association. It's psychological priming for the audience to come into the content with a less charitable attitude.
Yeah, I guess you're right, but all sides do this. Your side uses terms like conservative or fascist to paint your enemies as bad people. I agree that it's not a good thing to do, but we all do it. Yeah, he basically just goes on and on about how woke is a buzzword. So I'm just gonna be skipping another big section of his video. Oh my god, I just watched a little bit more of his video and he's still going on about the term woke. I would like to get into his arguments, but I'm here to argue about the Illymation situation, not the term woke, so I'm gonna be skipping a lot of this. I will say though, he made one good point about Sean's video. Basically, Illy quoted this article, but she didn't link her source. So Think Before You Sleep made a guess as to which source it was, without actually being sure if it was the right source or not. The thing is, I agreed with this point when I made my first video on Illymations, so it doesn't really change my opinion in any way. I will say that Illy really should have linked her source, and Think Before You Sleep truly was making a shot in the dark. But the thing is, even now, Illy hasn't linked the correct source. Like, there's all this drama going on around her, and she's still not linking the correct source. But yeah, Noah's long point about wokeness can be basically boiled down to, wokeness is bad, and Think Before You Sleep is associating Illy with wokeness. And he also heavily implies that one of the reasons why Illy was doxxed is because she's woke, and if Think Before You Sleep never associated her with wokeness, she wouldn't have been doxxed. Now, a lot of people have made videos on me calling me racist, but if someone doxes me, and one of the reasons they gave for doxing me is that I'm racist, I wouldn't put any of the blame on people who've made videos on me calling me racist. I will say Think Before You Sleep's point about, oh, Illy told her child fans that climate change is real, was an extremely cringy point. Like when I was a kid, before climate change was a big talking point, people told me that pollution is a big problem, and it didn't mess me up as a kid.
I imagine there's a handful of you that may be asking here, Noah, isn't all this just guilt by association? Sure, the doxers said that they hate fat acceptance, censorship, and woke ideology, but a lot of people hate those things, and they're not doxing anybody. How can Sean be blamed for a few whack jobs? And well, there's two things I'd like to say to that. Firstly, Sean and the doxers don't just happen to hold the same opinions in some unrelated way. He's the reason they hold them. These ideas didn't exist before his videos.
Well, if we ignore the fact that she was called woke and also doxed because she was Jewish even before he made his first video on her, then yes.
A great way to see that, aside from what we've already looked at, how he made them up, is by looking at how Illy's video was received before Sean's viewers brigaded the comment section. If you scroll down 2 months into the comments, what you find is an overwhelmingly positive response.
Wait a second, so if I make a video and my subscribers see it, the comment section will be very positive, but if someone makes a video on my video, suddenly I will get a bunch of hate comments? Wow, that's something I already knew. Bro, plenty of uncharitable videos have been made on me, and lots of uncharitable videos have been made on tons of other people. Whether someone is accusing their opposition of being woke, or racist, or fascist, or whatever else, it normally doesn't result in a doxing. But that's because people they're making videos on are not asking their fans to mass report a video. Okay, so Noah goes on to explain that a lot of people actually liked Illymation's video, and it helped him get through a lot of things. And then when Think Before You Sleep made his video, she got a lot of hate. I now understand why a lot of people just went through the first half of this video, because the second half feels like padding. I know I said I would go through this video point by point, but I don't want to make this video too long, and I did not expect Noah to make a second video about this before Think Before You Sleep responded to him. I will say that Noah's video wasn't completely terrible. He did bring up a handful of good points, but most of it was very dishonest. He clearly has a bias against Think Before You Sleep. However, it did convince me that Think Before You Sleep was a little bit too harsh to Illy in his video. He kind of used her video as a jumping off point to talk about the fat acceptance movement. However, my overall opinion hasn't changed. I still don't think Illy should have asked her fans to flag down Think Before You Sleep's video, and I think her getting doxxed was an absolutely terrible thing that happened to her. Overall, this drama is pretty black and white, but Noah seems to believe that there's a lot more shades of gray. Anyways, let's move on to his second video. On the bright side, it's only 20 minutes long, not an hour long, so this will be a lot easier to get through.
Sean, aka Think Before You Sleep, has responded to it with some claims on Twitter and during a live stream. And I'm gonna cut right to the chase here. Sean is doing some suspicious activities right now with all of these claims. Almost immediately after its release, Sean began misrepresenting my video's arguments with straw mans and also just lying in strange, obvious ways.
Huh, funny, I feel the same way about your video on him. Anyways, he starts by going over Think Before You Sleep's post. I would tell you guys to pause it and read it, but let's be honest here, a lot of you are not gonna do that, so let's just play it.
I guess I'll have to talk about it here because I can't say it on YouTube right now. A few minutes ago I opened up YouTube to a message saying that my first video on Illymation has been removed for cyberbullying. I have been accused of harassing someone or using slurs to talk about someone's intrinsic traits. I didn't do that. Anyone who watched the video can see I didn't do that, so I have appealed the video. But it's YouTube, so even though I didn't break the rules, we'll see what happens. Curiously, this occurred shortly after Noah Samson released a video on me yesterday that was so bad faith that I can't believe he actually hit the upload button. This video, multiple times, accuses me of doxing Illymation and encouraging doxing. He basically says I doxed Alyssa in his video title, and his claims in the video get so ridiculous that at 14 minutes he literally accuses me of trying to get Alyssa killed, simply because I made a video saying, I don't like your video, and colluding with your followers to mass flag my channel is messed up.
Everybody got that? Good.
Alright, so let's just go through these one by one. Sean claims that I accused him of doxing Illymation. Sean, come on, man. You know that's not true. I never accused you of doxing her. I never accused you of calling for her doxing either. I actually very clearly stated the opposite, that you both did not ask anyone to dox her. Sean didn't ask anyone to dox or harass Illy, and that I don't think you made your video with the intent of her getting doxed. Do I think that Sean made his video with the intent of Illy getting doxed? No, I don't. Sean here also claims that my video's title is basically a doxing accusation. Maybe I don't have to explain this one, but just in case. Think Before You Dox is a play on words about the fact that she got doxed and the fact that Sean's channel was a part of that process. This title does not specify action or intent.
Okay, first of all, I'm gonna be real here. I have gotten crap for my thumbnails multiple times. A good example for this was the thumbnail for my second Spoctor video. I made an EDP joke in it because, well, he had the, spicy materials of a 13-year-old on a flash drive. And because EDP went to meet up with a 13-year-old girl, I thought it would be funny to make a cupcake joke. Now, even though everybody who had a problem with this thumbnail couldn't make an argument to save their lives, I did come to the conclusion that some people might get the wrong idea from the thumbnail. So I changed the thumbnail and I still got crap for it. Now, do you think it's possible that a few people who see this thumbnail of Illymations running away in fear from the Think Before You Sleep logo, combined with the title Think Before You Dox, might come to the conclusion that Think Before You Sleep doxed Illymations? Like, I'm not saying it was your intention, but I think you can see how a few people might have come to the conclusion that you were accusing Think Before You Sleep of doxing Illymations just going off of your title and thumbnail alone. Secondly, I love how you said you didn't accuse him of doxing, then proceeded to say that his video was part of the process to her getting doxed. Now, I do agree that you never said the phrase, Think Before You Sleep doxed Illymations, nor did you directly say that Think Before You Sleep encourage people to dox Illymations. However, you did say things like Think Before You Sleep use the same language as the people who doxed Illymations. You also said Think Before You Sleep's video directly led to Illymations being doxed. Let's not forget that you also said that Think Before You Sleep's characterization of Illymations as woke also led to her being doxed. And you drew parallels between the points that Think Before You Sleep made and the doxers made. Keep in mind, Noah is the same guy who said, "Oh, Illymations didn't tell her fans to deplatform Think Before You Sleep. She just told her fans to flag down his video." Noah Samson is the kind of guy to threaten to slit someone else's throat, and then his defense will be, "Oh, well, I never made a death threat towards him. I just said I would slit his throat."
These claims are perplexing, but it seems like they've already started to catch on. Commenters and creators alike are repeating this around the web, saying that I accused him of doxing.
And I think that is one of the most irresponsible and dishonest and malicious things that you can do, is accuse somebody of doxing, because some crazy f***ing psychopaths in their audience took things way too far and doxed somebody because they don't like them.
None of them are showing proof or giving timestamps to evidence this claim because they can't.
Actually, they can, and I just did that. I will give Noah credit, he's very careful with his wording, but when you say things like, Think Before You Sleep use the same language as the doxers, what do you think he's trying to imply by that? Guys, I think Noah's video led to Think Before You Sleep's video on Illymations being taken down. Oh, I'm not saying he encouraged encouraged people to flag the video, but he had the same point as the people who flagged it down.
The drama content human centipede is back in action, and for it, I am no match, I fear. Next, Sean claims that I accused him of encouraging doxing. He repeats this claim later in the thread. I never used the word encourage to describe Sean's actions.
Yes, Noah, you are right. You never used the word encouraged. However, going off of your points, a lot of people would take away from your video that he did encourage his fans to dox her.
And this isn't just a semantic distinction, I don't think.
Well, I do think you should try it sometime.
Encouragement, to me, implies intent. And if that encouragement is coming from Sean himself, as his claim denotes, then it also implies a direct engagement with the audience on that point.
Okay, so you're making a murder-manslaughter distinction. I see. I'm gonna be real here. That's not at all the impression I got from your video. Think Before You Sleep made a video on Illymations, and yeah, it was pretty mean. Then Illymations asked her fans to report the video. Before this situation even started, she was doxxed. But thanks to this new drama around her trying to take down another YouTuber's video, she was doxxed once more. So I would argue that there's no way Think Before You Sleep even unintentionally led to Illymations getting doxxed.
He didn't do that, though. He didn't allude to harassment at any point, let alone ask for it directly. And I never said he did. Now, do I think that his videos fostered an environment that motivated viewers to harass her? Absolutely. That was sort of my video's whole argument. I supported this argument by going over the 3 ideas that Sean fabricated, showing how he used those fabricated ideas to make inflammatory accusations, both of which were then cited directly by the doxers as their motivations for doxing.
Well, I proved earlier in this video that most of those quote-unquote fabrications weren't actually fabrications, they were true. You tried your best to make it look like he was lying, but a lot of your arguments didn't make a whole lot of sense. He also did not foster an environment that led to her doxing because she was doxxed even before he made his first video on her. Noah's a bread tuber, and a lot of bread tubers make arguments along the lines of, "Oh, I'm not saying you're a white supremacist, I'm just saying you fostered the environment for a lot of your fans to be white supremacist."
Him creating those circumstances doesn't mean that he directly encouraged the doxing himself. The fact that he didn't, that he caused it without encouraging it directly, is an important part of this whole situation, I think. If he had directly encouraged it, then he'd be banned, and we wouldn't be talking about this right now. We'd be gaming.
Well, Illymations directly encouraged her fans to flag down his video, and we're still talking about it right now.
Now, if you disagree with me with those examples or that line of thinking, that's fine. However, if you want to argue against those claims, then first we need to be on the same page about what they actually are. If we can't agree upon reality, then any further debate is going to be a complete waste of time.
That is one of the most autistic sentences I've ever heard in my entire life. Also, I love that this guy calls people debate-brained and then says something like this.
In this same paragraph, Sean claims that I accused him of trying to get Alyssa killed. He made a similar claim on Tom Dark's live stream on May 2nd.
After basically accusing me of attempted murder.
But Noah, he didn't accuse you of accusing him of attempted murder. He said you basically did that. Therefore, the entire sentence is different.
Do you see how unbelievably annoying that is?
I can't assume that Noah would use any sort of good faith argumentation there.
So where is he getting this idea? Well, in his tweet, he references a sequence from the 14-minute mark of my video. The start of this clip is me reading a post from the doxing thread, and then I go on to my conclusion. I hate this lying Jewish blank with all my heart. She needs to die. The new video she made is promoting childhood obesity. She is a cancer to this world and needs to be rotting 6 feet under the ground. This comment is from the doxing thread. They stated they were going to visit her in California. They said they wanted her dead, and at that point, they knew where she lived. Thankfully, Illy was able to move before anything violent happened, but if this person, for example, had taken action, Sean's video very well could have been what pushed them over the edge.
Oh my god, I love that he just played that clip thinking it helped his case. Like, you guys heard that, right? What conclusion would you come to if you heard something like that? Oh, someone might have come to Illy's house and peed on her couch, and Sean's video could have very well been the catalyst for that incident. If you're gonna make the argument that a few people in Sean's fan base are unhinged, and they could do terrible things based off what he says, then that same logic should apply to you. Based off what you said, a big portion of your audience would come to the conclusion that Sean is directly responsible for what would have happened to Illymations if she did not leave.
Sean really doesn't seem interested in paying attention to other people's words. I said, if this person or someone like them had taken action, Sean's video could have been what pushed them over the the edge. Sean has distorted this claim into me saying that he tried to get her killed.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that much of a leap to me.
This is just kind of ridiculous, right? My words make no comment on his intent.
Okay, so you're accusing him of manslaughter, not murder. That's still pretty bad.
The idea that his video could push someone into violence doesn't mean that he made it with that goal. I don't believe he did, and I said as much in my video. As far as my actual claim, I'm pretty sure I'm correct. I absolutely believe that his videos could have pushed someone over the edge into violence. This person in the doxing thread clearly hated Illy. Their post was riddled with statements wishing death and injury upon her. The only one that wasn't was the line about her promoting childhood obesity, which was an idea they pulled straight from the conclusion of Sean's video.
Theoretically, Noah is right. It's entirely possible that some unhinged fan of Think Before You Sleep could have been pushed into violence because of his video. But this is basically the violent video games causes violence in real life argument from Jack Thompson. It is completely and absolutely unreasonable to ask every single YouTuber to take into consideration unhinged people they might have in their fan base. When I upload a video, I don't know every single person who's going to watch it, and I have no idea what they're going to take away from the video. Noah, you have done videos on Israel versus Palestine. If an unhinged person sees one of those videos and does something violent because of them, I would not put any of the blame on you. Basically, what I'm trying to say is this is a dumb argument.
To argue that this could not have led to violence, that seems kind of difficult.
It's really not. I just did it.
If Sean wants to try, though, he can, but first he needs to understand what my argument actually is. Another thing I want to address here is the way that Sean represents my characterization of his video's content. Sean describes his own video as just a little bit of criticism. He claims that all he did was tell Illy, "I don't like your video," and colluding with your followers to mass flag my channel is messed up. In this tweet here, he is presenting this diluted description of his video as if it were my own. He positions it as my rationale for the also mischaracterized arguments he attributed to me just before. This is sort of discombobulating though, right? The entire video I made was an argument against this idea, an argument that what he did was not a mere case of criticism, but one of open malice. So why is he putting these words in my mouth? Well, because he needs to be the victim.
Well, he is the victim. He's the victim of Illy trying to get her fans to take down his video. And Illy is also a victim of doxing.
Moving on to the second tweet thread, which is from the next day. This one begins with a screenshot of YouTube's message to Sean that his second appeal had been rejected.
What a shock. YouTube has yet again decided to change its rules for someone who doesn't have the approved politics and uphold a strike on a video that did not violate its guidelines. The specific wording on the rule they accused me of breaking was use of racial slurs and making fun of intrinsic traits. I did not use any racial slurs and I did not poke fun at any intrinsic traits. Intrinsic traits are things that you cannot change, such as your race or certain facial features. I never comment negatively on people's intrinsic traits because that's messed up. But hey YouTube, if this is the new standard and Noah Samson seems to think mass flagging is okay because he never denounced it, which is something that every reactor did when they saw the video, even the ones who hate me. Noah spent several minutes caping for mass flagging and saying it's not that bad. That being said, YouTube, I have 3 videos for you to strike where Noah made fun of my voice. One of which, the entire bit of his video was making fun of the way I talk.
Sean claims that I said that mass flagging isn't that bad. He also concludes that I must think mass flagging is okay because I never denounced it. This isn't true. I never commented one way or another about the morality of mass flagging. I didn't say it was good or bad. And just because I didn't denounce it doesn't mean that I endorse it. My critiques of the mass flagging allegations did not concern morality. They were about ethics.
Did I just hear that right? It wasn't about morality, it was about ethics. What?
I'm glad Sean brought up the thing about his voice. I see this a lot, both Sean and his fans arguing that the comments making fun of his voice are making fun of an intrinsic characteristic, and thus, by YouTube's guidelines, this is bullying and technically a reportable offense. But this is kind of a sneaky little trick here. Sean's video voice is not an intrinsic characteristic because it's not his actual voice. His actual voice is pretty normal, and he knows that and has admitted as much. Here is him using his normal voice to describe how it is different from his reading voice.
Like, I can't do my reading voice. In fact, I've been trying to change it to my regular voice, but it's difficult. Like, I don't know how I get into that mode.
Wait, What? The voice sounds exactly the same. Am I hearing this right? He still sounds like the nerd emoji to me, but Noah is missing the point of the argument that Think Before You Sleep made. Yes, you can actually change your voice. I actually plan to take speech therapy once I really blow up on YouTube. But the point he's making is that weight is not an intrinsic trait. It's something that people can change about themselves. So if making fun of someone's weight counts as bullying, then making fun of someone's voice is also bullying. Basically, Think Before You Sleep is just pointing out the hypocrisy to YouTube, but Noah is ignoring this to say that Think Before You Sleep is the real hypocrite.
The last point I want to address today is a claim from Sean that I said he was responsible for the doxing. He made this claim on the live stream.
Yeah, he's basically saying that, I mean, he said it straight up in the video multiple times that I'm responsible for it, so I don't think, and even if you backtracked and gaslighted on it and said, oh, no, I don't actually believe that, well, you still put it in the video multiple times, so you obviously do.
So Sean's claim that I said straight up in the video multiple times that he is responsible is false. I never used the word responsible in my video.
Bro, you made all the arguments for it, you were just too much of a pussy to outright say it. You know this, I know this, any reasonable person who watched my or your video knows this. Anyone who watched your video going over Think Before You Sleep's video on Illymations would have come away from your video with that assumption.
You might hear say, well, come on Noah, he's obviously saying that you implied it with statements like Sean's videos caused the doxing. How can his videos cause the doxing without him also being responsible for it? And I think that's a valid question.
Yes, it's an extremely valid question.
When people ask, is Sean responsible for these people's actions? That question can be answered in two different ways, from a moral perspective and then from an ethical perspective.
This is the weirdest word salad I've heard in a very long time. What does he even mean by this? Maybe I'm just not smart enough to understand what he's trying to say. To anyone in my audience who studies philosophy, is there a big difference between ethics and morals? I hear Destiny is a pretty smart guy, so I watched his response to this, and I still don't get it.
Tom then summarizes my messages to Sean.
So he's basically saying he believes you fabricated stuff about her, therefore they did this, therefore you are partially responsible, is basically what he's saying.
So he adds that qualifying word of partially, which is a more accurate summary of my claims.
Oh, okay, so you just admitted that Think Before You Sleep is partially responsible for Illymations getting doxxed. Well, I already knew that. That's what you were arguing in favor for throughout your entire video. Like, he was arguing against this and dancing around this for so long, for so hard throughout this entire video, and he finally admitted, yes, I do believe he was partially responsible for her getting doxxed. Noah, sweetie, that's the part that people have a problem with.
Because it includes the caveat that I'm not saying that Sean is responsible in a definitive sense, one that would necessitate some kind of punishment. When he responds, though, Sean ignores that qualifier.
Yeah, he's basically saying that, I mean, he said it straight up in the video multiple times that I'm responsible for it, so I don't think, and even if you backtracked and gaslighted on it and said it.
I don't see where the problem is here. You said he was partially responsible for her getting doxxed, and he said you basically claimed that he was responsible for her getting doxxed.
This is exactly why I did not use that word, responsible.
Yes, Noah, you did not use that word. Congratulations. But everyone knows that's what you were arguing in favor for. And you just now said yourself he was partially responsible. What are we even arguing about at this point?
Because while yes, I do think Sean is responsible, absolutely.
What? Yes, of course you do. That's what you were arguing in favor for throughout your entire video. Oh, wait. I got it. Your argument is that you didn't use the word responsible. Ah, I see. Who cares? Think Before You Sleep claimed you said he was basically responsible, and that's exactly what you did. I now see what Noah's doing. He's agreeing with Think Before You Sleep, but he's doing his best to make it sound like a disagreement. Basically, Noah's point can be boiled down to, I never said he was responsible, but I do think he's responsible.
I think this is a dangerous road to walk down where creators are held responsible for the actions of their audience, because there could easily be a case in the near future where Noah paints a narrative about someone, whether he's correct or not, and then somebody doxes them, and then he is now held responsible.
If I lied to make a narrative about someone and that ended up with them getting doxed, then I could absolutely be responsible for that.
Okay, so you were saying that Think Before You Sleep is responsible for Illymations getting doxed. My god, what is going on? Now, first of all, I don't believe Think Think Before You Sleep lied about Illymations. But with this hypothetical he's presenting, if I make a video on someone and they get doxxed because of my video but I told the truth about them, would that make the doxing okay or make me not responsible for the doxing in any way? Because personally, I don't think Sean was lying about Illymations, but I still believe that her getting doxxed was an absolutely terrible thing that happened. This is all of Noah's video that I'm willing to go over. At this point, I'm not having fun anymore. Illy shouldn't have asked her fans to strike down Think Before You Sleep's video. Illy should not have been doxxed for what she did. Noah Samson clearly did not make his video to defend Illymations. He did it because he hates Think Before You Sleep. His video was not good and he's trying to backtrack in a very, very bizarre way. This drama has gone on for way too long and it's about time it finally ends. I'm sure Think Before You Sleep will respond to Noah, and Noah will respond to his response. But for the foreseeable future, I'm done at this point. Now unfortunately, I have some bad news. Money has been tight, YouTube hasn't been going so hot for me as of late, and I've only gotten about 2 sponsorships this year. So I think it's about time I get back in the workforce. Doing YouTube full-time was fun, and I lasted a whole year, which is pretty good. But before I get back into workforce, I'm gonna go on a few trips. So I hope to see you guys at VidCon. I know I tweeted out that I wasn't going, but I quickly deleted that tweet. YouTube just hasn't been as fun for me as of late, and as you guys can clearly see, the budget for my videos has been getting lower and lower, and that's because I have less and less money. Going back into the workforce will mean I will have more budget for YouTube videos, but unfortunately, it will mean I will slow down a lot on content. I did make a little extra cash on my old channel, mainly because I've been uploading on it again, but I still haven't gotten my power scaling channel monetized. I will try to do YouTube full-time again in the future, but for now, it's time for me to get back into the workforce. Danger Dan wanted me to say, I don't care who the IRS sends, I'm not paying taxes. If you want me to say something at the end of one of my videos, donate $10 to me a month on Patreon. Anyways, let's get to the credits.